Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. I'd like to thank the Common Sense guy for bringing this video to you by way of drawing attention to this particular story from him. If you haven't seen his video, I'm going to link in the description below. But let's just jump into it, as some folks may say on the internet. Yeah, um, Alabama mayor posts apology after defending social media comments on killing LGBTQ people and Democrats. So, apparently, the mayor of Carbon Hill, Alabama, he posted publicly on Facebook. As you can see here, what is it? They blur it out, but quote, the only way to change it would be to kill the problem out. I know it's bad to say, but without killing them out, there's no way to fix it. So the duly elected mayor of Carbon Hill, Alabama says publishes to Facebook, the only way is to kill them out. It's still sinking in, but we'll go to the article really brief. According to WBRC, which I believe is a Fox affiliate down in Alabama, Carbon Hill Mayor Mike Chambers responded exclusively to WBRC Fox 6 News about recent controversial comments he made in a Facebook post. The post has been removed by Facebook. Thank you. And apparently he posted a meme as well. And according to this meme, it says, we live in a society where homosexuals lecture us on morals, transvestites lecture us on human biology, baby killers lecture us on human rights, and socialists lecture us on economics. And there's an exclamation point there for added effect. Okay. He posted a meme. All right. Seems to be a very disrespectful meme, but is still a meme. Okay. So they cover that right over there, and let's actually just get into this because I looked into this for a little while. I was going to just jump into the video, but I want to do a little poking around the interwebs to see actually what was going on here and see what specifically I could quickly find is related to this. So we'll give him a quote here. Chambers faced strong criticism from his constituents for the post and also for a response to his Facebook friend who wrote, by giving the minority more rights than the majority, I hate to think of the country my grandkids will live in unless somehow we change, and I think that will take a revolution. Okay. So this is where he says the only way to change it would be to kill the problem. I know it's bad to say, but without killing them out, there's no way to fix it. That's what he says. It looks like they have the other individual's name blurred there. And WBRC Fox says that they spoke to Chambers over the phone Monday about comments he posted Friday. During our first conversation with Chambers, he denied writing the comments. I don't think that I posted that. I think that's someone else's post, he said. So, given this type of event and the past history we've seen with many folks on social media, I wanted to do a little digging. So, what I found was over here. Hold on, let me reload this little bad boy up here. Okay, this is the 5 stages of grief. And this is a book written by David Kessler as well as the legendary Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Pardon me if I mispronounced that. And apparently Miss Ross came up with basically an equivalent book that this is based upon, basically kind of the stages of coming to acceptance, like with end of life and whatnot. But as you can see here, the cycle of grief, we start with denial. Okay. So it's been denied. We questioned Chambers about the Facebook page, which contains I think that's someone else's post, he said. We questioned Chambers about the Facebook page, which contained birthday greetings and pictures of Chambers' family. So you're saying someone is using your identity on Facebook, reporter Brittany Dion asked. I don't know, Chambers replied. We offered to meet Chambers in person so he could view the post. He declined, then hung up. So as we go back over to our five stages here, anger. Some may say suddenly hanging up the phone may be an angry action. And after anger, we see here comes depression. So these can apparently progress in different stages. Again, this is only based upon what I've heard from other folks. So after that, minutes later, Chambers called back. During the second conversation, which lasted about 6 minutes, Chambers acknowledged writing the post, but he said he was being taken out of context. Chambers also claimed he erroneously posted the comment publicly and that it was meant to be a private message between he and a friend. All right, so I believe we just played the boomer card. I don't know how this technology works. I mean, to be fair, I believe Senator Cruz may he may feel you a little bit that on that one, man. But there's a difference between liking a cuckolding video and calling for people to be killed. Yeah. So as we'll pop over to our stages again, bargaining. So he's just kind of just trying to say, hey, it was meant to be private, man. I mean, I'm just imagining those several minutes that went by after he hung up the phone. That's just the proverbial, oh shit moment there, where okay, maybe he needed to verify. Maybe as a former mayor of, I believe, Toronto said, maybe actions were taken during a drunken stupor. I'm sure he verified it, or maybe he was just trying to acknowledge what the hell he had actually gotten caught for publishing on Facebook. So, let's continue. So during the call, Chambers spoke about immigrants, calling them ungrateful. Chambers claimed immigrants were taking over the country and voiced his comments were in response to a civil war happening in the United States. There's a major escalation of violence, rhetoric, and everything. And for a public official to straight up say it like that, that's not a quote, but they're essentially saying the same thing based upon how I look at this. Chambers went on to defend his comments, as we see. I never said anything about killing out gays or anything like that, Chambers said. My dude, you get caught. You get caught. You basically said the only way to solve the problem is to kill the people out. And I'm gonna touch upon that in just a second, but let's just finish this quick article, and then I just want to just do a quick analysis. So we read the post from Chambers' page back to him. That's in a revolution. That's right. If it comes to a revolution in this country, both sides of these people will be killed out, he said. Okay, I get it. You're responding to a previous post from another individual. You are the mayor of a town in Alabama, man. You're the mayor. You're the leader. And the sad thing is I have heard certain remarks like this before. I've heard this from more rightish and more libertarian folk, and I have heard this from more leftish folk, and that does highly concern me with everything that's going on here. But let's just wrap this up right here. Chambers then fumed about privacy in his Facebook page for not being for the public, although Chambers acknowledged his privacy settings were public. He later changed the Facebook page to private. Well, given some recent court rulings, if you're an elected official, that might be changing, but that's another video. So Chambers said he was not concerned about criticism from his constituents. He said there's only one person in this town that does not like him, and that he does not have a problem with anyone. On Tuesday, Chambers posted an apology on his Facebook page. Chambers' bio on the town's official website says he decided to get involved in the city's politics because Carbon Hill was not going in a positive direction. Chambers took on leading the town of less than 2,000 people in 2014. I've seen slightly conflicting things from the 2010 census saying it was a little over 2,000, but we're just kind of just delving into that right there. So let's just do a quick rapid fire over what else happened. So Alabama mayor posts apology after defending social media comments on killing LGBTQ people and Democrats. I I'm not sure if he actually said Democrats in there. I mean, there are references to definitely socialism and everything there. I mean, he straight up says that within the meme itself. And I'm pretty sure the only socialists that I really know of are Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, who calls for a revolution. I I don't really hear Bernie talking about killing people. I hear him talking about raising taxes on folks that are very wealthy, as well as providing free college and health care to people. That's what I hear. And my dude. I just want to get to this right here. Yeah, it's basically the same thing in this article. Here's the thing. We have Americans hating, hurting, and killing other Americans. To the mayor of the great town of Carbon Hill of the great state of Alabama, Mark Chambers. Mark, that's fucking wrong. Here's the thing. This dude man here, he's going through his cycles as we go through to the other articles. As you can see, you have an Alabama LGBT group that starts a petition to basically get the man recalled, fired, deplatformed, call it what you will. You can see here from Pink News as well. Apparently, it's getting into election season, and he's currently still plans on running. A lot of the same things are covered within this article as well. And over here, he did more recently post an update because I believe this was from June 5th when some of these initial findings broke, the beginning of Pride Month here. So, Alabama mayor offers to resign after posting controversial comments about homosexuals, Democrats on Facebook. And his apology here is, I quote, "I would like to make a public apology to my community. I, and I alone, am responsible for the comment that was made. It is not a reflection of the Carbon Hill City Council or any city personnel or citizens." Fair. Although, I believe my comment was taken out of context and was not targeting the LGBTQ community. I know that was wrong to say anyone should be killed. I am truly sorry that I have embarrassed our city. I love this city, and while in office, I have done everything in my power to make this a better place for our families. There are not enough words for me to express how much I regret posting this comment. I hope very much our citizens and anyone that was hurt by this comment can accept my apology. Dude, my dude. What if you're really going to make a heartfelt apology? Okay. You may feel you were taken out of context, and while you may have truly believed that you were saying that, you still said it. You still wrote it in a form and sent it to somebody else. And my thing right here is when you follow that up with although, but, however, we're adding the caveats in here, and it seems like, at least to me, we very often, if not most times, if not seemingly almost every time, we got to try to justify our actions and everything. And listen, whatever we do in our heads and our hearts, the problem we have is when we do that and we express it and we give ourselves out. I understand we're trying to still put up a little shield to save ourselves, but sometimes we just got to be raw. Sometimes you just got to be straight up. And there are many folks that will see that and be like, he's disingenuous. He's defending his remarks and everything. And while I get what you're saying, man, dude, dude, the cycle of hatred will continue here because folks are going to see this. This is going to cause folks on whatever other side or oppositional forces are going to cite this and be like, you know what? This dude is an elected official straight up calling for literally the extermination of people. It's just we're going to keep on going down this road, and it's not right. And the terrible thing is, this isn't the first time I've heard things like that. I have heard other folks, other individuals on this side of the internet say such things. And very often, I try to frame it based upon how I know that person. If somebody happens to spend a lot of times in the armed services, within the time the armed services, they're coming from more of a military perspective. I understand what you're saying. I'm still going to vehemently disagree with you as well, because while I may support your freedom of speech, it's again, where does our freedom of speech end? It ends where another person's rights begin as well. And straight up, if you look at this, that does seem to be an incitement to violence, man. And if that is, then you're violating the First Amendment here, because even if it's not a direct call, here's the thing: it exists. It's out there. It's a mimetic now, and that's something that people are going to take. And that, in combination, citing this as an example, whether it's cytogenesis or whatnot, it's going to ingrain. And folks are like, oh, look at all the Antifa stuff. Okay, yes, violence is wrong wherever it is. Her name was Heather Heyer. That's the thing. What do people remember from Charlottesville? A young girl was killed. 2 police officers also lost their life in a helicopter crash, but that was an accident. The other freaking neo-Nazi dude, man, freaking is convicted of murder. And that's what people remember. So I like to try to frame things in the best case scenario. Try to err on the benevolence. But at this point, I hear folks occasionally, especially MC, calling for a convention of states. I hear folks from pretty much both and almost every side terrified of that. But that's one of the things that I'm beginning to think more and more is something we're going to have to do. Because if it really is at this point where we have elected officials, and I actually just want to touch on this real quick because I keep on hearing dude man was a Republican. According to his Wikipedia article and everything, I didn't see any R or D after. And this is something that I have heard folks say, and I didn't see it even on his town council page. He very well may be, but the thing is, I didn't see this in any articles. So, like, let's just go right here. So, like, voting in Alabama, the registration, was Mark in here? No. Chambers, no. Okay, so it's over here. So, the daily costs. So, what is that? Apparently, all right, so I don't really know what this is. It's a Cost Media LLC from the U.S. All right, you get a little cartoon there. McConnell makes empty promise. Okay, you're attacking the head of the Republicans and over in the Senate there. Border Patrol's reading for jail kids longer. Okay, I take away that this is a fairly more leftish source here. All right, let's see this right here. Invites killing of LGBTQ. All right, let's search Democrats. Okay, let's search Republican. I swear I can sell. Maybe. Hashtag Republicans. Hashtag stupid Republicans. I don't see it there. Let's check Snopes, because Snopes is it's a source. All right, let's see Republican. No results. Oh, maybe it's not searching. And Democrats were taken out of context. Okay, I don't see it. I don't see it. I see him tagged here in more of a, at least what my initial observation I'd say is more of a leftish source. Um, I wasn't able to find it. As far as I know, maybe he is registered, but it's not listed. He very well might be. This is something that my mind generally goes to, but irregardless of whether he's a part of any type of party or not, it's, dude, you're an elected official. And this is wrong, whoever says it. If you're some drunk dude in a bar and you have a habit of getting rowdy and saying stuff like that, yeah, it's still freaking wrong. You're the duly elected mayor that published this on Facebook. Whether it was an accident or not, man, you are speaking using the words that your brain is formulating, that your fingers are typing to another human being. And everybody affects everybody. And now apparently he has offered to resign, basically because he doesn't want to. And there are folks in here that are saying that they believe he has done a good job for their community. He's the leader of about 2,000 folks. And this brings up the issue of, should he resign? I mean, is this not one of those things where if somebody says something, somebody does something, if we see outrage? Now, is this faux outrage? I don't think this is faux outrage at all. This is just absolute, just rip shit BS. I mean, you said it. You are an elected official. You're still campaigning. Dude, man, I'm sorry, but it looks like you crossed the frickin' line. Because again, I'm a big freedom of speech guy, but you can't incite violence. And I try to get the frame of what you're coming from, and the sheer fact that this isn't the same. I have heard this. I have heard this from other folks, so I'm getting scared now. But I wanted to try to finish off in a positive way, so how do we move forward? How would this individual, how does Mark move forward? Or even not in this instance, if somebody says or does something stupid and they happen to lose their job or something, I'm not a big fan of folks losing their jobs for saying stupid shit. Because we all say stupid shit. And I wanted to actually compare the Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program, because I really wasn't aware of that. And I looked into it, and it actually reminded me a lot of the stuff that Professor Peterson kind of hits on and everything about recovery and everything, about admitting to one's flaws and using some form of transcendence to move on. And I realize I get mocked, and I realize I got a lot of atheist friends and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. But I think there is something to this. And if we take a look at it, here's what they are. We admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unimaginable. Replace alcohol with any other vice or something that has complete control out of you. Number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. We all like to be part of something that's greater than ourselves, whether it's a particular community, a particular hobby, a fandom. We all just, I don't know, I think it's something internal about human nature, whether it's being a part of a freaking guild, a freaking just organization, just doing something with commonality that is powerful. Number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. The way they say that, I don't see a designated faith here. It's just the faith in something greater than oneself, to basically acknowledge that we, in the grand scheme of things, we're like grains of sand. I believe it was William Blake, to see the world in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. Love that quote. Actually wrote a little thingy on it back in high school, but I digress. Number 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. This is, to me, appears to be a confrontation of sin. Except with the instance of a newborn child, there are none of us who are without sin. And this is just something that I think we miss out on right now. Number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Admitting something to oneself, admitting to something to a higher power, and it's saying it to another human being, communicating it so they could bear witness. I do think there is something powerful to that, because that's a form of confession. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. It's basically a rebirth, a renewal, a cleansing of the spirit. Just basically acknowledging that there are wrongs within us and that we want to work to make them right using something greater than oneself. Number 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Again, that appears to be a reference to the Almighty there. Trying to make peace with something that is truly important and greater than oneself. Number 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is something I think we've completely lost. And I realize it's not incentivized because, unfortunately, we live in an age where if you apologize, that can be taken as a form of admittance of said guilt. Thereby, if somebody does not accept said apology, that they can go after you. And the terrible thing is, and I've heard references to this in medicine, that if a doctor messes up, if they come up to you and say, listen, I'm sorry, I completely messed up, it's my fault, people are a lot less likely to sue, so I've heard. However, should the doctor admit no fault that could be applicable in a court of law, people my doctor won't even admit that they made a mistake. That creates ill will, and I think that feeds into a very vicious cycle. So number 9, may direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So basically don't put that person in a position that you may actually cause them harm, whatever that may be. Again, it would depend upon the individual. Number 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. We don't incentivize that anymore. There's something about being quick to say you're sorry, and even quicker to accept an apology. Just because then we can move on. We don't dwell in the past, because then it stagnates, and then it makes us bitter, and it perpetuates ill will, in my opinion. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. It's a way to help self-improve, to make oneself better. Just continued improvement, just even if incrementally over time, can make a huge difference. And number 12, having a spiritual awakening. As a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Again, if you remove alcoholic with whatever other vice there may be, I really think this is powerful. And this definitely says something, at least to me, that something about faith in a higher power, just something greater than ourselves, that is something that just seems to cut across all humanity. Because as far as I know, if this is AA's program, I have heard good things. I've had folks that have relapsed and everything, but we're human beings. We're perfectly imperfect creatures. But yeah, to Mr. Chambers, I mean, may God have mercy on your soul, man. I mean, I hope you improve. I hope you find yourself. And I hope you're a better man tomorrow than you are today. Hey, thanks everybody for watching.